Welcome.
Hi everyone. Welcome. Just letting some more people in. I feel like we had a lot of people registering to join us on this recording this evening. This is clearly the information that we all need. So welcome. What I would love, we're going to just keep letting people in for the next minute or so. And if you would like to, find your chat button and let us know in the chat where you're coming in from. We had our first call on Monday, a couple of days ago, and had people from all over the place. So it's really lovely for us to see where everyone's tuning in from. So yeah, we've got Laura from Cambridge. Hi, Laura. Welcome, my love. Oh, and Angela is in Portugal still. Gorgeous.
Oh, amazing.
Lucky.
Nisha is actually where are you? Are you in Palm
I'm
Springs?
in California. I'm
You're in
currently in Los Angeles. So it's about 11 o'clock in the morning for me here.
Nice. So LA. And we've got
Sun's
Ireland
shining out
in
there.
the house. Amazing. Gorgeous. And actually the other thing, if we that Nisha suggested, which I think is so fun, while you're finding your chat and letting us know where you're coming in from, is really it would be lovely if you know what day of your cycle you're in. And you can share it in there. So I am day 8. I will put it in the chat.
Amazing.
Hi, Sarah from Devon, day 19. Well done, Sarah. Bravo you for knowing. This is where we really get to see. Bex, do you want to do your confession now?
I don't have a clue.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, Laura says she's no idea. Coil until next week. Oh, bless you. And Zoe, it's day 20. We've got day 18 in the house, day 19. We've got Essex, we've got Plymouth. Oh, Angela still hasn't had any cycles. We've got a day 1 and a day 3. Fun. Oh, we're all over the place.
Amazing. And just to say, so I'm actually 4 years post-menopause, but my 14-year-old daughter is currently in her inner summer and she is radiant. She's just blossoming. She's in full bloom.
Yay.
Yeah. And if you're kind of going, actually, I have no idea where I am in my cycle, then really don't worry, because you are in the right place to start to learn about how to track those things, because your body's talking to you all the time. So this is the perfect place to be if you're really not sure.
Yeah, it's prime time. All right, day 18. Okay, I feel like I've got everybody in out of the waiting room. Nisha, I'm going to hand over to you in just a moment. So just one more word from me. So welcome everyone to our second in our series of Women's Health Summit presentations. We have already done one presentation about the map of womanhood. If you haven't seen that yet, the recording is up in the portal, so you can go in there and have a look. Or if you're watching this on a replay and you're not sure where to find it, just speak to the person who shared the summit with you. Likewise, if you haven't yet brought doTERRA products and oils and things into your life, at the end of the summit, at the end of this, or when you've if you've got any questions, or if you want to sort of start this journey, then make sure you go back to the person who shared the summit with you. They'll be super excited to support you and help you. And I'm sorry, one second. I've got a house full here at the moment, so yes, they're very excited to share the next steps with you and to support you in bringing any oils or products into your life. Just make sure you're always going back to that person to ask for any help, or if you can't find the recordings, just go straight back to them and they'll be able to direct you. And now I'm really thrilled to be able to hand you over to two incredible women who I'm so blessed to work with, wonderful Nisha and Becky Bowles. And yeah, I'm just going to let you take the floor. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Dot. Thank you for a beautiful introduction. So welcome, everybody. So happy to have you here. I'm Nisha, and I'm a period coach, which means that I'm a women's health coach with a real focus on the menstrual cycle. I love talking periods. It's my passion. I'm a graduate of Nicole Jardin's Institute of Menstrual Health. I'm a Red School menstruality mentor. The Inner Seasons is what I live and breathe, and I work a lot actually with mothers and daughters, with dads as well, teaching all about puberty, periods, the menstrual cycle, and living in harmony with our cyclical selves. And I'm here with my beautiful friend Becky, who actually I know Becky through our daughters. Our daughters are good friends. I'm going to pass over to Becky to introduce, but she is, I'll just say that she's an absolute inspiration and one of the founders of doTERRA in this country, and she is such a wealth of wisdom and knowledge about the oils and the products, and I'm so delighted to be here with you today and to be collaborating on this presentation.
Thank you, Nisha. I am too. I'm so honoured to be here with Dot and Nisha, and I'm so excited to learn as well. Like Nisha, it's just incredible, and she's famous in this area. Like as soon as I came to Dinah and Totnes, I heard about Nisha. You must go to Nisha's period classes, and so I'm really excited to learn tonight as well. And I'm actually someone that grew up very embarrassed to talk about my period. Like I didn't want to talk about my period at all in my early teens. So I'm just really quite passionate about this now, and especially what you do, Nisha, with the young girls, you know, to help them really understand it and not to be embarrassed, but to really own it and be proud about it, you know. And so I just think it's so beautiful what you do, and your knowledge is incredible. So I have been using the essential oils for over 10 years now, and teaching, traveling the world, traveling the UK mostly, and presenting to hundreds and loads of different types of people about the oils and the products that doTERRA do, because I very quickly became very passionate about natural medicine in my early 20s, and it's just grown and grown, and I just feel it's something that everyone needs to be just aware of, really. Knowledge is power, isn't it? And this is what I want to give people, just everyone a choice. And when people have that knowledge, they can then make a real educated, empowered choice. So I'm here tonight to bring some of my knowledge, as Nisha said, to this evening as well. So I'm very excited.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So let's dive in. So as Becky just touched on, there is still lots of stigma around the menstrual cycle and a real lack of information. And so for so many women, their experience of the menstrual cycle can be confusing. We can feel isolated, we can feel frustrated. And if you feel any of those things, then know that you're not alone. And I really hope that the presentation today will help you to view your menstrual cycle as an incredible gift rather than an inconvenience or a burden. I hope you'll find that you see that you have lots of choices, that you feel more empowered about your body and the language that it's speaking to you with. So most people don't actually even know what's happening in the menstrual cycle because we were never taught. And I'm a big advocate of this sort of education being given to girls, or being given to everybody for as young as possible. So what we'll start with today is looking at physically, we'll do like an overview of physically what's happening throughout the entire cycle, because it's not just about periods, but there is something incredible happening in your body every single day. So we're going to look at the different phases of the menstrual cycle, and we'll also look at the inner seasons. And I want to say at the outset that I'm going to be talking in kind of broad strokes. We're going to be looking at the archetypal cycle and the strengths and weaknesses of each phase. But the big red rule, this is an idea that comes from the Red School, that if I say something that doesn't resonate with your experience trumps anything I've got to say. Yes. So there are lots and lots of different variations in how we experience the fluctuations in our hormone levels and how we experience our bleeds. But knowing kind of the archetypal cycle can help you understand how to better care for your own needs in each phase of the cycle. I don't have a lot of time to look at things like endometriosis or PCOS, but I do have a lot of things to say about those, which I'll have to save for another time. So there'll be much more. This is just the beginning of yeah, this education around the menstrual cycle, and there's lots more to dive into another time. So the menstrual cycle is a totally normal and healthy biological process that's actually considered to be like the fifth vital sign. So it's as important to assess as like your temperature, your pulse, your breathing rate, and your blood pressure. So it was recognized as the fifth vital sign by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. So the woman's menstrual cycle, it's like a window into the status of your health. And because if something starts going wrong with your menstrual cycle, it's very often a sign of it being that there's another health issue at play. So it's really important that we pay attention to the menstrual cycle. Having a period is actually, it's a sign of health. And your experience of your bleed, it's like your monthly report card. So how well have I cared for myself? Have I cared for my needs in this previous month? And they say that how you bleed is how you set the tone for the month to come. So your bleed is a really, really important indicator of the month before, and it sets the tone for the month to come. So we're going to move on. Yeah, there we go. All right. So let's look at what's happening in the body over the menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle is this incredible dance of hormones which have been flowing through women's bodies since the beginning of time. So it's actually like, it's this beautiful symphony, and it involves communication between the brain, the body, the female organs. Everything in your body is designed to help keep you alive and actually for the survival of the human race. And our body is communicating with us all the time. But we've been conditioned to mistrust our bodies, to not understand, to ignore or suppress the communication that our body is trying to speak to us with. So I really think that it's essential that we start understanding the language that our body is using to communicate with us for our well-being. So day one, so we've got these 4 phases to the menstrual cycle. Day 1 of your cycle is the first day of your bleed, and that's the beginning of the follicular phase. So on this chart here, actually the pink phase is our bleed. So all our hormones are low. And it's called the follicular phase because the key thing that's happening on day 1, from day 1, when we start bleeding, is that the body immediately starts maturing a handful of eggs in the ovaries. So these tiny little follicles then go through this period of rapid development. And it's that development of those eggs that causes estrogen levels to rise. So a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone gets these eggs going. And I'll just sort of touch on that these eggs, the development of these eggs needs loads of nutrition, like especially protein, omega-3s. So it's a very, it's a process that really depends on nutrition. And the typical bleed is for between, say, 3 and 7 days. And as soon as you stop bleeding, your body then gets ready, making its nest. Yeah. So the body takes all the best nutrition from your body and uses it to create the uterine lining. So especially, again, protein and iron, and so in the space of about a week or maybe 10 days, we've got this incredible multivitamin to support new life ready in the form of the uterine lining. So even if we don't have our sights set on a pregnancy at this point, or indeed ever in our lives, our fertility is the cornerstone of our health as women. So in the follicular phase, so we've started with really low hormones, but estrogen is rising. And this rise in estrogen gives us energy, and it boosts our mood. So we can see in the blue section on the slide, that estrogen is steadily rising. And then between the blue and the orange, at its peak, we've got ovulation. So we've got ovulation where estrogen's really high, luteinizing hormone comes along to help the egg pop out of the ovary. And then can you see this, the line at the bottom, we've got this surge of testosterone. And so testosterone is there to make us feel in the mood, essentially. So the system is perfectly designed for reproduction. Testosterone makes us feel strong, sexy, confident. And so lots of women feel amazing in this phase. And if you don't, then don't worry, because we're going to look at some of the reasons why you might not be feeling good in the summer, in this phase of ovulation, and what you can do to help. So as soon as the egg has been released from the ovary, we're into the luteal phase. So we will see that post-ovulation, there's this big drop of hormones. So in the orange bar, it's dropped. And then after a few days, we see progesterone steadily rises. So in the luteal phase, we are in, the dominant hormone is progesterone. And so progesterone is like a more calming hormone. It slows us down, it relaxes us. And what's interesting is if the quality of our eggs wasn't that good, we don't produce such high amounts of progesterone. And that can be one of the reasons why we don't feel so good in the post-ovulation phase. So let's see. Yeah, it's one of the things that can make this phase a bit more tricky for women. And then towards the end of the luteal phase, so in the sort of the second half of this green box, we'll see that all the hormones drop again. And so the body's waiting for, is there a pregnancy? Is there a pregnancy? Gives it a certain amount of time, about 10 days it will wait. And if there's no sperm, if there's no pregnancy, then all the hormones drop. And that is the signal to the body for to start the bleed, to shed the lining and then start again. So moving on. Here we go. Yeah, so a little summary. So the follicular phase, day 1 of the bleed, estrogen's rising and the eggs are being developed. So then we've got ovulation. So estrogen and testosterone are both high. Then they drop, and we've got the luteal phase where progesterone dominates, and then menstruation, all the hormones drop. So like in quick summary. And this is a slide with a little bit more detail. You might want to take a little screenshot of it, but it shows what's happening in terms of the uterine lining, what's happening in terms of hormones, what's happening in terms of your body temperature, and what's happening in terms of the development of the egg and the corpus luteum. So your body's got so much to tell you about where you are in your cycle. It's just a language that we need to learn, and it just takes practice. And so I highly recommend keeping like a daily note of some of the things that you're experiencing. And in terms of physical signs, there are a number of physical signs that you can track. We won't spend a lot of time on this today, but just to mention that your cervical fluids got so much to say. The position of your cervix changes throughout the month as well. Your body temperature. So once you've ovulated, your body temperature rises. And so tracking your temperature can be a way to know where you are. Mittelschmerz. You heard that word, Mittelschmerz. So it means middle pains. And some women get like sharp stabbing pains in one ovary or the other when they're ovulating. I always had that. I always knew exactly. I was like, oh, there I go, I'm ovulating. And also tracking your mood, your fluctuations in mood, energy, even your dreams, observing your sexual interest. All of these are different signs that you can use to really recognize and get to know yourself in each phase. So I've touched really briefly on some of the sort of nutritional needs of the menstrual cycle. And if there's one thing that you take away from today, I really hope it's that you know that good nutrition is the foundation of a healthy menstrual cycle. So your doctor probably never told you that, but when you think about what the lining of the womb is, yeah, this multivitamin to support new life, and all that work is really going on in the follicular phase. Yes, so the development of the lining of the womb and the development of the eggs. And it all depends on good nutrition. So your body needs an abundance of healthy carbs, good quality proteins and fats. Again, we can't go into so much detail about the nuts and bolts of a healthy diet, but I just want to say that even when we eat really well, the soils are so depleted and there's been so much, breeding of plants and animals for maximum output that our food is just so much less nutritious than it was in previous times. Yeah, just sort of want to mention that the supplement that I use personally and that my whole family uses is this beautiful trio of supplements from doTERRA called Lifelong Vitality. And I want to hand over to Becky actually, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about these incredible supplements that we use.
Thanks, Nisha. Yes, these are actually, doTERRA do incredible products and oils, right? And these are the #1 product that sells every single month. And it's for that reason that Nisha's explained. It's because people are realizing more and more that the foundation of everything is what we're putting into our body. It's obvious, isn't it? And we're kind of all catching on, but it's really hard to get that from our foods, as Nisha said. So doTERRA came up with this incredible supplement. It's world-renowned. It's got everything in it that your body needs. And it's very unique because it's in the whole food form. So there are 3 components to this supplement pack, and the microplex ones, which contain all your vitamins and minerals. 95% of supplements out there don't contain these in the absorbable form. They contain these heavy rocks and mineral salts that your body cannot absorb, which is why people often refer to supplements, and I did in the past, as expensive urine. It's just all coming out. Whereas these aren't. These are being absorbed and you really feel it. So then the CRS, that is all about supporting your cellular energy. So it works with your mitochondria and stimulates your mitochondria to produce more energy. So we need that definitely as women. We're always doing lots of things. And also it contains this natural cleansing components, for example, milk thistles in that one. It's one of the most commonly known herb to help with cleansing, to detoxify and cleanse your body, because we need to get on top of that as well, which I'll talk about more in a second. And then your omegas are so vital for everything, our brain health, inflammation in our body, which is the root of all disease, both emotional and physical, and of course, very much needed in our menstrual cycle to keep that really healthy. And again, most supplements, the fish oils are very rancid. It's very easy to get rancid fish oils. And the omegas and doTERRAs are surrounded by antioxidants. They contain antioxidants, which help stop them going rancid. So again, we're getting really good quality of everything. And on top of that, these contain 9 essential oils. So that's again a very unique component of this supplement, and includes frankincense, high in anti-inflammatory properties, clove, which is your highest antioxidant, and so many other wonderful oils that help to keep your body in balance and help to continually repair what's going on at that cellular level to keep you really healthy. So it's so important. And I started taking these literally just under 10 years ago, and the difference was incredible to my energy and my mental awareness, my brain fog. I had a bit of anxiety, postnatal anxiety, and these really helped with that. And so many others I've shared this with. I don't know if you've had this experience yet, Nisha, but people who have been really irregular with their periods, after just a couple of months, sometimes even sooner, will get into really regular cycles. I don't know if yeah, so it's really, really, really good. And so the next slide, I think, talk about top.
Amazing. Yes. And I will also just sort of mention that even with good nutrition, a good diet, and good supplements, very, very often lots of us need some help with actually digesting our food. And so digestive enzymes are also a really, really important foundation for a healthy menstrual cycle. And one of the kits we'll mention later has got digestive enzymes, digestion support, and probiotics as well, being really key. So we need an abundance of good bacteria in the guts for well-balanced hormones and good health.
Absolutely. And on that, when you get to your 30s, you just don't produce the digestive enzymes that your body needs anymore. So we do need that support to be able to get that.
Exactly, as we get older. But also, things like stress, infections, taking antibiotics, taking prescription medications, these all mess with the beneficial bacteria in our guts. So it's so important that we're replenishing on a daily basis.
Yeah, and one thing I forgot actually with the fish oils, I forgot to mention, it's not fish oils actually, there's flaxseed oil as well in there, and borage oil, is exceptional at hormonal balance. So fantastic for us women.
It's all in there, and it just makes it so easy, doesn't it? So it's got like everything that we need. Gorgeous. And so so we've touched on nutrition and supplements, but the other thing that really messes with our hormonal health is exposure to chemicals. And so endocrine disrupting chemicals are everywhere. And they're in an abundance in conventional cleaning products, products that we use on our bodies. And so Bex is going to do a little thing on low tox living and the importance for our hormones.
Definitely. Again, this is the underlying factor to everything. Even using these incredible essential oils that will help the body heal, I believe, from anything, if you're looking after your environment. So if you're continually adding things to your internal environment, then you're not going to get better. You're going to just keep repeating these cycles. So that's why I always tell people about water. So the first thing to do is drink some good quality water, not just water. It's really looking at that, what's in your water, making sure they've got the electrolytes, and that's going to help to get these toxins out. And it's looking at everything you're using, and it's bit by bit, so looking at the things you're spraying your kitchen surfaces with, looking at what you're putting underneath your arms, looking at what perfumes, what things you're putting on your skin. Our skin is like your largest organ, and everything that goes onto your skin is going to go straight into your body. And we can get away with these things so long, right? And then the cup becomes full and your body is no longer able to keep up that fight. And that's when things in your body start going wrong. Which is why when I first got married, I told Nathan, don't worry, I don't have PMS. I'm not like other women. I don't suffer. And then as time's gone by, PMS has crept up. I've had my 4 kids, and that's probably helped as well to bring that out. Same with everything, right? We can be invincible when we're younger, and we are, because our body can keep on top of everything. And then we start hitting a certain age, and that's when we need to really be really more aware of what we're putting into our body. And so lemon essential oil in your water will really help with this, as well as obviously the lifelong vitality and the gut cleansing stuff and probiotics, really important. And phytoestrogen. So this was specially designed for women, and however, though, I must say it's good for men too. So I'm not going to rule out men, but we're going to focus on women tonight. So women, this is so important. So phytoestrogens, these are natural produced estrogens found by plants, right? So the chemical structure of them is very, very similar, pretty much identical to our own naturally produced estrogen in our body. So because of that, our body can readily absorb it, it recognizes it, and it will bind to the same receptors as the estrogen does in our body. Now, the phytoestrogens aren't as strong as estrogen, so it won't block the estrogen if the estrogen needs to get there, right? This is the important thing to remember about phytoestrogen. Like everything in plant world and the natural world, they do what's right for your body. They'll never work against your body, okay? And we can find phytoestrogens in our food as well, but again, often we're very depleted. And the reason why they're so important is because they help to balance our estrogen levels in our body. So sometimes our estrogen levels, we have too much estrogen being produced, okay? And usually this is because of the environment that we're being exposed to or due to other things going on, and we can get estrogen dominance. This is where our body has too much estrogen. So the phytoestrogen will come and bind to our receptors and prevent our own estrogen from binding to those receptors and just help to balance it. So they can decrease our estrogen levels, or if needed, if our estrogen levels are not enough and our body for some reason isn't producing enough estrogen, they'll pump it up. So they'll do exactly what's needed. And the really important thing is, I don't know if you've heard of xenoestrogens. These are the toxic estrogens that we will find in a lot of our food, in plastic, pesticides, skincare, receipts, even, you get handed clothes receipts, so always go for email receipt. And these xenoestrogens are really harmful to your body. They are actually stronger than our own natural produced estrogen. So they will go in and they will block our own estrogen from binding to our receptors. And this is where all havoc can take place and create real hormonal imbalance in our body. So the phytoestrogens will stop that happening. They'll prevent these xenoestrogens from doing that. So that's incredible. So these are really, really important, especially if you suffer from, PMS, really strong irritability, really tender breasts, low libido, any of those things. If you're finding your symptoms are getting worse, you probably need some phytoestrogen support.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. And the simplest thing that you can do to support your hormones is to ditch your conventional cleaning products, ditch the conventional, body care, the makeup, perfume, it's like swap them out for natural alternatives, go back to old-fashioned cleaning, simple products on our bodies. Thank you, Becky.
Oh, you're welcome.
So we looked at the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle just earlier, and now I want to map that onto the inner seasons. And also I'm going to suggest some oils that could be really beautiful to accompany you in the different phases. So, come on, slide. There we go. Great. All right. So just like the seasons in nature, as females, we experience a regular pattern of change in our menstrual cycle. So there are ebbs and flows throughout the month, and each phase has both gifts and challenges. And the more that we understand about these ebbs and flows, the more empowered we can be in looking after ourselves. So we're going to look at the inner seasons and oils to support each phase. And so we can use oils to amplify the gifts or to help sort of tone down or tone down the intensity and help us better cope with the challenges. And so we're going to go through each phase, but before we do that, I just want to say that there is one oil blend that is incredible for the whole cycle, which is a beautiful blend called Clary Calm. And actually Becky, I think, is gonna tell us a bit more about Clary Calm and why it's so incredible. I'll hand back to Becky.
Thanks, Nisha. This has become one of my favorite blends, and it's really interesting because well, it's not interesting. You'll all get it. And there's 1 week a month where I cannot be without this blend. Like, seriously, I have a slight panic if it's not near me. Because I confess to, I do now currently have PMS. I didn't used to before we got married. Now I do. And there's a time when I really feel like, oh man, I'm just frustrated and a bit irritated by everything. And so I just take a few moments, and I'll sometimes say to Nathan, I'm just going to go in this cupboard and smell my Clary Calm. And I take myself away. I literally do this. Take myself away and rub it here, just on my wrists, and just rub it together like so, and take about 7 deep breaths. It's always my magic number. You need a bit of time just to really deeply breathe it in. And honestly, it melts me. Like, I couldn't believe it the first time I used it. I didn't really expect too much. And it really melts me and just brings me back and just takes the edge off. So sometimes I'm sniffing it most of the day. It's a couple of days when I'm literally snorting it all day long. And this is why. It's because it contains 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 incredible oils. And it actually, I mean, for me, it's that 1 week period, but there are actually oils in this blend that help with all the different seasons that Nisha's going to explain. The main one, first of all, of course, being clary sage, incredible oil and herb that can actually just, one disclaimer, can bring on labor as well. So please don't use this if you are pregnant towards the end, you know, just be careful of that too. It can help to induce contractions. So good to bring on when you want to give birth. That clary sage is so good to reduce irritability, any kind of anxiety, feelings of dizziness as well, and just to really calm you down. And it's good not just with the emotional stuff. This is actually, clary sage is also good with the physical as well, physical kind of cramping. And then you have lavender, oh, so calming, and again helps with the cramping and the relaxation that you need. And then your bergamot, which is so good for stress and also like self-acceptance. You know, we go through so many emotions, don't we, in our cycles. Then we have Roman chamomile, which is another just beautiful, soothing, so soothing oil. So you know, this is good for your monthly cycle, but also it's got all those calming ones for, you know, whenever you need to be calmed down as well. So Roman chamomile, high in antimicrobial properties as well, by the way, Roman chamomile. Cedarwood, so we have our serotonin affected throughout our cycle, and our dopamine, which Nisha's going to talk about. Cedarwood really helps to promote serotonin release, so that's really good. And then ylang ylang, for those low libido times, you want to like pick up your your passion, then that's in there as well. And then you've got the geranium oil, which is just all about love, self-love, and it's mother-baby connection as well, beautifully. So I love that that's in this blend. And then, not so beautiful, the fennel. It's for like, which Nisha's going to explain also, the cramping and the period poos. I love you've got that in it. So you've got a real mix in there, haven't you, Nisha? And they just work wonderfully together.
Yeah, it's absolutely the most gorgeous blend. And yeah, so my daughter uses it throughout the month. So you can apply daily, you know, to your wrist or to your inner ankle. So the inner ankle is, in Chinese medicine, it represents the female organs. So I love to apply it to inner ankles. And then if you're needing sort of more intensive support, mixing it with castor oil and applying to the abdomen 2 to 3 times a week can really support more intensive healing. It's an incredible oil. So thank you, Becky. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And we're gonna zoom ahead because I'm aware that time is ticking on. So the inner spring. So inner spring aligns with the follicular phase. And so it's after we finish bleeding and before we ovulate. So it's that sort of a week to 10 days, about a week. So we're post bleed. Ideally, we've rested during our inner winter. And the hormones are gently starting to rise and they're supporting us to re-emerge. It's a time of re-emergence. So you'll remember that the body's super busy, maturing the eggs, preparing the lining of the womb. And it's a time when we're like in our younger selves, in our maidenly selves. It's a playful time, a good time to start new projects, a good time to start to plan the month ahead. It's a good time to play. It's got really lovely playful energy as the energy starts returning. I have to say though that lots of women still feel really tired in the spring, and that makes sense if you think about what the body's doing. So it's taking all the best nutrition that you've got and using it to grow eggs and make the uterine lining. Yeah, and this takes up loads and loads of nutrition, iron, omega-3s, micronutrients. And I just want to say that the female body is a really stress sensitive system. So essentially, the female body is always scanning to know, is it safe to bring a new life into the world this month? Yeah, and that scanning is really, really going on in the follicular phase. You might have found that when you're stressed, or even when you're doing something nice like going on holiday, that you get changes in your cycle. And it's just because like the disruption to routine, the body kind of goes, no, something's off, and it will decide either to not ovulate or to delay ovulation. So the body's always like thinking, is it safe? Is it safe? Is now a good time? And so just to touch on, because the spring is really when your body's making decisions about ovulation, it's the time of the month that you can do most damage to your menstrual cycle with things like fasting. And so post bleed is really what we need to be doing is replenishing. We need to replenish our energy. We need to replenish nutrients, proteins, iron. And I think that TCM has got some really wise stuff actually to say about eating for the menstrual cycle and how to look after ourselves in the spring. So the positive qualities of the inner spring: tenderness, playfulness. But spring has also got its shadow side. And so the shadow side of spring is feeling really depleted. Yeah, especially if we haven't rested when we're bleeding. Oh, we can feel so depleted. We can feel depressed. For a lot of women, this is the most vulnerable part of their cycle. So our hormones are still quite low and our nutrient status is at its lowest point. We can feel vulnerable. We can be easily overwhelmed because if we start trying to pick up too quickly to get going again, we just overwhelm ourselves. So this re-emergence, we really need to go slowly. So we need like a gentle acceleration rather than like a 0 to 60. Yeah. So go slow. Yes, it's a tender time. If we re-emerge too quickly, we can just feel completely lost. So pace yourself. Pacing is really important in the inner spring. In terms of oils to support the inner spring, I love wild orange. So it's the oil of abundance, but it's also real inner child oil. So it really supports that inner child and helps to bring out optimism and joy. I love actually all the citrus oils are good in the inner spring because of their uplifting qualities. But another oil I want to mention is a blend called Motivate. Motivate's really lovely because it's a little bit minty, but not in a super punchy way. So the peppermint is kind of balanced by spearmint, which is much more gentle mint. And we've also got sort of uplifting citrus oils in there. We've got rosemary and basil, and they support brain function. So it's the blend that is formulated for when you need encouragement, and it offers confidence and reassurance to start taking positive action in the right way. So those are the two. I had to be really careful in this presentation not to overwhelm you with too much information and too many different oils, but those are two really beautiful ones for the spring. So moving on to the inner summer, this aligns with ovulation. And so you'll remember that this is when our hormones are at their highest. We've got estrogen going on, we've got luteinizing hormone going on, and then we've got this healthy dose of testosterone. So the inner summer. So these high levels of hormones, they are designed to make you feel like reproducing. So typically in our inner summer, we feel more energetic, more confident, more outgoing, more sexual. So women are typically more charismatic in their inner summer. And it's a great time to do like a sales pitch at work, for example, because you're irresistible. Yeah, like who can say no when you're ovulating? It's like, who can say no to you? And it's a time to really embrace your sexuality. So the inner summer is a time to say yes. Yeah, we've got just an abundance and we've got a lot to give. It's yes, yes, yes. But the shadow side of the inner summer is midsummer madness. So just a complete sort of overcommitting, being out there in the world too much, saying yes too much. It can be completely overwhelming. So we can almost go into a mania around the midsummer and completely burn through all our energy and all our reserves. And actually, if we haven't rested during our bleed, by the time we get to the summer, we're just too knackered. We're just too exhausted. And if you find that you get to your inner summer and you're really not feeling sexy because you're too knackered, like when you're knackered, you don't feel like wasting more energy on lovemaking, do you? So actually, here's an incentive for you to rest during your next bleed, because it's the best thing that you can do for your sexual energy a couple of weeks later. So will you give that a try next time you bleed and let me know how you get on? So let's see. Slides. Oh, no. Yes, here we go. Oils for the inner summer. Good. Okay, here we go. Right. So I've chosen a couple of oils to really sort of amplify this sensual and sexual energy of the inner summer. So we've got passion. So passion is a blend that's like a little bit spicy. It's got cinnamon and ginger in there, but also sandalwood and vanilla and Damiana. And Damiana is a really beautiful one. They will all sort of help sort of bring out the passion and playfulness and sort of risk taking. And then we've got jasmine. Jasmine's the oil of healthy sexuality. So it helps to awaken passion and interest in sexual experience. So two really sort of yummy, juicy oils to play with if you want to amplify that sort of sexuality and inspiration in the summer. But if what you're experiencing in your inner summer is kind of overwhelm and mania, then maybe what you need to do is buffer and ground yourself. And so balance is this really beautiful oil. It's a combination of tree oils and roots. And it's a remedy for people who need to reconnect with their roots. So if you're all up here too dispersed, it's like it will really help you to come back into the present moment, really ground yourself. It helps to promote inner strength and self-containment. So if that's what you're needing, containing balance is a perfect oil for that. And then you'll remember that I said that once you ovulate, you get this drop in hormones. Yeah, so our hormones go off a cliff face, right? We say goodbye to testosterone for the month. Estrogen dips, it just absolutely drops off. And does anyone get like post-ovulation blues? Have you ever noticed that like you're riding high, you're feeling so fabulous, and then it feels like the rug's been pulled out from under your feet? Yeah, like you've just been slapped in the face and all of a sudden you're just in the blues. There's a really like, it's our hormones. It really is our hormones. They've just disappeared. And it takes a few days for estrogen levels to pick up again and for progesterone to really kick in. So for those really vulnerable sort of couple of days when we've got the post-ovulation blues, I love oil. I love rose oil. So rose is a super high vibration oil and it works beautifully with a tender heart. And so with a roller, you can anoint your heart center. You can add it to your cacao, which is actually a really beautiful combination because they're both really lovely heart remedies. So rose is, yeah, a really beautiful one for sort of tending to that tender heart, that tenderness. So we've made it through to the inner autumn. And a little bit like what's happening in nature, we're starting to feel our leaves turning brown. So there's like a feeling of like needing to get on, you know, get the harvest in, finish things off, tidy up. So autumn as the season, it starts quite busy, doesn't it? You know, like when you look at what's happening in nature and the farmers are out in the fields, like getting the wheat crop in, you know, and then the apples and then the pumpkins, you know. Like I live in Devon, so this really is sort of, you know, part of everyday life in the autumn in Devon. We stock up the wood pile, yeah, we fill the larder. So it's really busy, but we know that there is an end in sight. Yeah, we know that we're busy because there's the big rest of winter coming. And so our inner autumn is exactly the same. So the energy is drawing back in. We need to start getting things finished. So after the highs of summer, we need to start slowing down and we need like a gentle deceleration. We need to start saying no more often. We need to delegate. We need to finish things off. You know, I sort of feel like, you know, the autumn is the time where like, you know, in my spring and my summer, it was like I could walk past that pile of things on the stairs, you know, or I could let mess go, get to my inner autumn, and I'm like, right, I have had enough. This needs to happen now. There's no more hanging about with this. So we need to start saying no more. We need to finish things off. It's also a time we start getting impatient and we start getting critical. So this is the time that the truth speaker comes out. And so it's the time of the month where we get to feel what's not working or what needs to change. And if you're working on a project, it's a really good time to edit because our critical eye is really heightened in the inner autumn. It's the time of PMS, right? And has anybody been shamed for being grumpy in their luteal phase? I think quite a lot of us. And I actually like to think of PMS as standing for please make space. Because our hormones are telling us we need to slow down and draw back in. We need more time on our own. We've got less to give, but the world loves us in our inner summer. Yeah, everyone wants us to keep giving. But we need to slow down and we need to take space. So some of the, here we go, shadow sides of inner autumn. rage, yeah, like frustration and rage and anger. And especially when we need more time on our own and we are like having to look after everybody, everyone's still placing all these demands on us. We don't have the capacity, and it's just like we're being stripped bare. And so anger can really come up. Like the inner critic really raises her head in the autumn, and we can hurt ourselves and other people, the people that we love around us, if we don't manage our inner resources well in this phase. So we really need to take care that we slow down and protect our boundaries. We need to start saying no more often. And also, we can really start feeling body dissatisfaction in this phase as well. So progesterone has this effect of slowing things down. We can get water retention under the influence of progesterone. The breasts get bigger and they can be sore. Progesterone also slows down bowel movements, perhaps as a way to sort of extract more nutrition in the chance of a pregnancy. And our wombs are at their biggest and heaviest. And so we can feel really swollen in our bellies, you know, constipation, pressing on swollen womb. So we can feel really, really uncomfortable in our own skin. So the oils for the inner autumn. Okay, so I love tea tree for the inner autumn. So tea tree is the oil of energetic boundaries. So it's like it's the oil to support us saying no. And so whenever I'm needing to work with boundaries in my life, I use tea tree and I apply it in my belly button. So morning and evening, tea tree in my belly button. And then we've got bergamot, which is the oil of self-acceptance. It's a citrus tree oil, so it's got that sort of lovely uplifting quality to it. And it's the oil to sort of turn to when we've got low self-esteem or a lot of self-judgment. So we really need a lot of self-acceptance and compassion in this phase. So it's a beautiful oil for stress or self-doubt. And then what's interesting about the autumn is that our blood sugar stability is less good than in the follicular phase in the spring and summer. So we need more, we need to take care around keeping our blood sugar levels balanced. But it's also the time of the month where we crave sweet things and carby things. So Meta Power is an incredible oil. So it's the oil of body acceptance, and it's the metabolic blend. And so actually it really helps if you have a couple of drops in some water, it really helps to, it helps with cravings. It helps to neutralize cravings. So really delicious in water. And then I just want to mention another supplement, which is called Meta Power Assist. And what Meta Power Assist does is that it flattens a blood sugar spike. So if you really want to go for it with that bar of chocolate or, you know, a big slice of cake, if you take a Meta Power Assist about half an hour before you eat, it's going to flatten the curve so that you can indulge in those cravings without it damaging your hormones. I'm aware that we're a little short of time, so I'm going to whiz through. Okay, an oil for the transition from autumn to winter. So if you're somebody who tends to get run down around your period, like if you tend to get period flu, I'd really recommend to start using On Guard during the autumn to help boost your immunity ahead of your bleed. I'm just going to leave that one there and whiz on to our inner winter. Okay, so you remember inner winter, our hormones are really low. So hormones have dropped, which triggers the bleed. We can feel tired, sore, grumpy, introverted. The work of the inner winter is to rest. Yeah, you need more sleep. You need to hibernate. It's a really good time for journaling, It's a really good time for receiving messages, downloads. It's a good time to pray, really good time for spiritual practice. So it's really a time to prioritize our own needs and our own self-care. You need to go into your bear cave, into your red tent, and rest. Except, does anyone find that difficult? You like too busy to rest? Too much going on? Yeah. So you're really not alone. Our world is not set up for honoring the female cycle. I have to say that no one is going to give you permission to rest. Yeah. No, well, except I am. I give you full permission to rest during your bleed, and I totally celebrate you when you do that. But the world isn't going to give you permission. Yeah. So resting in your winter is something that you have got to fight for. Yeah, life's not going to give it to you. You have got to claim it. You've got to defend that space. And when we don't rest and when we don't take that space, the shadow side of the inner winter is total exhaustion, just completely wiped out. And because we're so exhausted, it's just like, just feeling like, oh, I can't cope, hypersensitive, overwhelmed, lost boundaries. So the oils for inner winter. So a couple of oils I'm going to recommend. So one is lavender. We've touched on before. It's so soothing and it really supports relaxation and sleep, which is what we need to be doing. That's the work of the inner winter. And then frankincense is such a spiritual oil. And what I love about frankincense is that it's both a root chakra oil and a crown chakra oil. So it's a beautiful oil to ground you and sort of open you to your enhanced spiritual capacity in the inner winter. Is used by the Catholic Church, you know. So yeah, it's an incredible one for opening spiritual channels and enhancing prayer and meditation. And then, so support for some of the physical things that we can experience in the inner winter. So if you're experiencing painful periods, the deep blue range is incredible. So the deep blue rub or stick, you can use on your abdomen, on your lower back, and it's this incredible sort of pain relieving, anti-inflammatory, and it's got lots of lovely cooling ingredients. So just to use the oil or the rub or the stick on your belly is amazing. My daughter adores it when she's on her like day 1, day 2. And then there's a supplement called Deep Blue Polyphenols. And it's full of incredible anti-inflammatory, pain-relieving ingredients. And my daughter uses them. She finds them as effective as a prescription painkiller on day 1 and day 2 of her period. And actually, when I hurt my back last week, it's what I turn to for pain relief. It's absolutely incredible. If you haven't experienced this supplement yet, then I really, you know, it's a tool to have in your first aid kit. And if things are really chronic for you, then you might find that you need to use deep blue on a daily basis throughout the month to really sort of build up, to let it build up in your system. A couple of other ones. So it's super common to get loose stools around day 1. Yeah, does anybody get period poos? So it's the impact of the prostaglandins, which help the womb to contract. But the overflow impact onto the bowel is that it helps the bowel to contract, and we get this sort of big clear out and maybe some inflammation and some nausea. So Zengest, so that's the blend to support the digestive system. Really beautiful here for help to calm the stomach and to relieve nausea. And in terms of pain, I just want to mention that dehydration makes period pain worse. And so again, like a really simple thing that you can do to support your periods, your experience of your periods, is to drink plenty of water throughout the month, and especially on your period. And I love lemon. I mean, all the citrus oils are so beautiful in water, but I just love how adding oils to water help us to really enjoy lots of lovely hydration. So, all right. Oh, amazing. Good. Okay. So just want to say that this practice of observing the inner seasons is called menstrual cycle awareness. It's the work of Alexandra and Shani from the Red School, who are my mentors in this work. And yeah, I really hope that you're walking away from this presentation with some inspiration and really concrete ideas of how to support your cycle with honouring the inner seasons and supporting the inner seasons with doTERRA oils and products. And having mentioned a few times actually, using these oils internally, you know, and in our water, in our drinks, want to talk a little bit about why these oils, doTERRA oils, are so special and why you should only ever use doTERRA oils internally, and why they are the only oils that I will use at all in my life. And I'm going to hand over again to Becky.
Thanks, Nisha. I'll just be quick. Yeah, it's so important, you know, when we're talking about using essential oils on our body, but even breathing them in. So I wouldn't recommend, you know, we've said about the toxic overload, most essential oils have other chemicals in them, quite bad chemicals, and actually can really negatively affect our bodies, or they're adulterated in many different ways, as it says up on here. They'll be diluted with cheaper versions of the oil. So we're not getting the oil that we're thinking we're getting, and therefore we're not experiencing the results that we want to get, right? So not only can they be quite bad for our body, we're not going to get the effects that we're looking for. And most essential oils out there are so diluted that you're only really getting about between 5 and 10% of the oil in that bottle, and it's not even a pure oil. So doTERRA was so passionate about this. This is why they've put so many things in place to absolutely guarantee that you are getting a pure essential oil exactly how it is in the plant. And all these oils are sourced in their natural habitat as well. So the potency is incredible. So this is why essentials are now really shaking up the world in terms of the natural medicine that we can offer, because they are so incredibly powerful when they are as potent as doTERRA's and as pure as doTERRA's. So yes, please don't go and put on any other oils, or definitely don't take them internally.
Amazing. And then just as we I know we've run over a little bit, but we'll just touch on a couple of kits actually. If you're not already connected with doTERRA products, there's a couple of kits that would be just perfect for getting you started. Shall I hand over to you?
Yeah, thanks, Nisha. It's been worth going over for, I have to say. I hope everyone else agrees. I'm sure everyone does. So yes, if you haven't already got your own oils, then this is a great place to start. So doTERRA make it as easy as possible and as cost effective as well. So you can purchase the oils and products at retail, and that's, you're going to be paying full cost for them. So what we strongly recommend, and this is the best way we found to purchase them, is to get your own wholesale account, which only costs £24, and you can then purchase the oils at 25% off retail. So you're saving a lot of money. And then doTERRA have gone a step further, and they've created kits for you that include the membership. So you can now get kits that include the membership, and these are 2 great starter kits that you get a lot more for your money when you're purchasing a kit, and that membership's also thrown in. So these were the 2 kits that we thought really went well with what we've been sharing tonight, as they contain a lot of the oils we've spoken about. It really depends on what you're looking for. If you really want to start with that foundational health we were talking about, then the daily habits and the Meta Power kit will be the best place to start. And then if you want the overall health with your diffuser as well, I mean, the diffuser is so wonderful, then that's a great place to start too. And both kits contain a lot of the oils that we've spoken about tonight. So you can't go wrong with either kit. It just kind of depends what you're looking to start with. And if you would like to purchase any oils, then please reach out to the person who invited you tonight, and they'll be really happy to talk you through any questions you have and help you to get going.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we're going to wrap it up there. And I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for your interest in learning more about the menstrual cycle, the inner seasons, and how to support the menstrual cycle with doTERRA oils and products. And thank you for staying with us as we ran over a little bit. I think we're going to pause. We're going to pause recording now.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you. I mean, it's something, it's like a lifelong journey with learning and understanding these things. I think we are going to stay on. We're going to stop the recording in a second and stay on for some Q&As. But just for anyone who is watching this on the recording, just want to say a big thank you for joining us in the Women's Health Summit. Let you know that our next session is happening on Monday, and we're going to be looking at pregnancy, birth and beyond, so the obvious follow on from having talked about sort of menstrual health, and so yeah, do stay tapped in and join us for the rest of the calls in the Women's Health Summit. So I'm going to stop the recording for now,